I'm like Biden.
Oh, I got the winning lottery numbers if you want them.
Nice.
Lottery's a scam.
All right, so I had to kill the stream that I created before we went live, shut everything down, finally restarted that, and just started a whole new stream through Restream, and it seems to be going now. So anybody that's still listening on TFR, you can hop back into the other chat, tell everybody to refresh and try to find it. There's Chilster Deluxe, I see, popped into the new chat.
Did you ever figure out what was what last night? Because, like I said, my settings were all the same at the end of it. I came back to the same setting.
Yeah, wish I knew. I have no idea.
No biggie.
I'm glad we could get it up and going, but no clue why it wasn't working.
Yeah, we only stayed on for 20 minutes because we had 0 listeners, and all the wind was taken out of my sails at that point. I missed a really hot date last night. I was so pissed. You have no idea. Huh?
Last night? What was going on last night?
Perceptions Talk Radio.
Oh, damn it. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I need to check into that.
Dude, I had this hot girl in this fucking office all day. She's 31 years old, and she was just like, let's get together. Let's hang out tonight, blah, 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 blah. And I forgot about that. I said, well, I got a show I got to do. And she's like, all right, we'll do the show. She goes, we'll hang out tomorrow night. And I do the show, and like, I'm not even going out over the air, like with 0 listeners and Angel. It's like, wow, I passed this hot redhead up with great legs and huge whatever.
Personality.
For hanging out with Angel with 0 listeners. Like, fuck that.
Can you get a little more specific, please?
Her personality, Andrew. She had a huge personality.
Yeah, no. We're going out next week for Indian. She goes, well, we're still going out next Wednesday, right? And I'm like, after work, I'm like, yeah, you sure you want to go? And she's like, absolutely. So she can't drop me any harder hints. There's no hints about it. So it's like, yeah, the earth might be flat, but she's not. She's got lots of curves.
What the fuck, man?
Exactly what the fuck.
This is like stuff like guys talk about with each other, but not like when there's ladies listening in.
Well, it's a true fact of life, right? I've been a virgin for too long now. I've been celibate for too long. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think I deserve to whet my appetite. Anyway, how you guys doing?
I'm on my 70th hour of working today, or this week, so I'm doing great.
Trying to figure out who left their cocaine laying around in the White House, but Secret Service gave up on it.
That was me.
I read that article. What the hell is that about?
No, that was me. I admit it.
Came around in the White House, and somebody found it that wasn't a team player, I guess. And yeah, I mean, they're saying they ended the investigation. They can't figure out who did it. Isn't every inch of the White House on camera and audio and probably whatever else that they can possibly do?
Wasn't there even a theory that it was somebody who was on tour going through it, that somebody could have dropped it or inadvertently?
And it was found in an area where people have to put their mobile phones, where visitors taking tours, they have to leave their mobile phones there. But the place where it was found has changed like 3 times now.
So it could have been anybody. It could have been Clinton's. Or was it pure? Was it fresh, like from now? And did it have fentanyl in it?
I don't know. They didn't give out a whole lot of there's no way of telling who it was. And of course the Bidens were out of town, blah 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 blah.
Well, I'm sure it'll go to the evidence room and then somebody will come down. So we got to sample it. We got to take out that thing out of evidence and sample it.
Yeah, no fingerprints, Matt, or couldn't get a good fingerprint. There wasn't enough DNA, blah blah blah.
How convenient.
Yeah.
Well, I've been inside the White House twice when I was in high school for high school trips. And when you go through into the entrance, it's like airport security on steroids. And we're like high school students. And they pat you down, they check inside your bag and everything. But there are a lot of areas in the White House where they are not looking at you. It's like a guided tour when you're walking through certain hallways. You can just pull out a Sharpie, like I saw someone do, and just draw along the wall.
Yeah, but I mean, a camera will see you eventually. I'm sure
Maybe not in that little hallway though. When there's like 10 people in front of you.
every square inch though is covered by a camera. And it may not be able to see every square inch at all times, like you said, when there's a bunch of people walking by, but every bit of that place is
Well,
covered.
either way, I want my white powder back. That was mine. Whatever it was. But yeah, it's so stupid because they know that Hunter Biden allegedly is like this drug addict, like, powder sniffer. It's like, oh, the one person that can get into the White House that is known to do that. Well, I don't know. It's just a bunch of nonsense, in my opinion. I ignore it. It's a distraction.
Oh yeah, there's something else going on. So what do you guys think about this Sound of Freedom movie? Are you going to watch it?
Ooh, I saw it.
Really? Tell us.
Heard at the beginning, there's some really rough stuff right at the beginning.
No, no. It wasn't. I didn't think it was graphic or anything like that at all. And it was. No, it wasn't. I have some personal takes on it. Tony Robbins was involved, right? He invested in it or something like that.
No shit, really?
Yeah, he's in the project too, but he's a song.
Well, I heard that the Mario guy from Mexico also was involved.
All right, so do you want a conspiracy angle on it?
Absolutely.
So, like, supposedly this guy who's the main character, the one that the story's about, there's only been like 6,000 children saved since this guy's been doing this over the years, and to me, that's like a fucking nothing number, right? I mean, you could find more kids than that if you really did the effort and gone to Thailand undercover, right? There's a lot of places.
Two, three.
Huh?
Hey, there's like 2,000 to 3,000 children, not adults but children a day.
Yeah, so it's like 6,000 is the number I heard when I did some digging down. Then I looked at who this Angel Studios was, and they're the guys running it are Mormon based, right? I saw Provo, Utah, and I was looking at their website at careers. It's all out of Provo, Utah. So there's that, right? And if you want to go down that rabbit hole, then supposedly, I'm going to say allegedly around everything, supposedly, allegedly. What you call it? Mormons are just another code word for another, more Freemasons, right? So you have that element. And when you look at like stuff like from the White House, or even like with Biden, Biden's laptop and stuff, and him and little girls, right? We know there's so many politicos and sickos in there. And so, like in D.C., you go back to 1990, and they had the whole affair with Larry King, not the talk show guy, but this black guy who was running the operations. And the Secret Service that saw all these kids coming in through the White House. This was in the newspaper in the Washington Press back then. So it's like this has been an everlasting, pervasive problem that everybody knows and looks the other way. So the fact that we're saying there's these high-level military and they're saving little kids and this and that, I personally think it's a distraction from all the other bigger shit that's going on between Biden, Ukraine, and everything. Like the timing ultimately is sus as hell, and like all of a sudden everybody's going to become like child. Like nobody knows that this shit's going on. Everybody knows this is going on. Everybody knows your fucking uncle or somebody is diddling the kids. It's like this is time immemorial. So I just don't find that it's. I don't know. I don't want to sound cynical, but
Well, isn't the timing always sus? Because as soon as it's like smoke and mirrors, it's misdirection, it's a magic trick. As soon as something that they're trying to do wants to be obfuscated from what's actually happening, then they pull out some sort of a
well, this is the thing. Disney had
rabbit
its
out of the
hands
hat.
on it. Disney had its hands on it through Fox when I guess they acquired Fox, and then they shelved the whole project supposedly. But nobody says how it was. I don't know who it was proposed to. Like they said, this company, Angel Company or production company, maybe it was Tony Robbins, had enough money to throw at Disney and said, "Yeah, you can run with it. Good luck. We're not going to give it any distribution channels. There's going to be no advertising. It's yours. Do what you want with it." And there wasn't, right? There's a lot of stuff going on in theaters where people are going to see it, and then all of a sudden the AC just breaks in that one theater, or some other problem comes up. Recently, just the other day, there was a fire in one of the theaters mid movie, or not. They were smelling smoke, not an actual fire. And they said, "Oh, it was the projector, the bulb, or something like that." It's like, yeah, if you really want to sabotage a movie projector, just squirt some mineral oil or some kind of lubricant or something on the lens, and of course it's going to start smoking, right? Just like putting oil in a pan when you're making popcorn, it gets hot and it starts smoking. So that's not, it's not. I don't know. I personally think it's a misdirect. I didn't think the movie was that. The movie was good. It was entertaining, if you want to say, and the topic is a heavy topic. Entertaining in the sense that it wasn't laborious. It didn't tax you, and you didn't sit there and listen to a lot of just bullshit dialogue. There was like from the start of the movie to the end, you're in motion, right? The ball's in
Right.
motion.
I do have a question about the movie too,
Mhm.
because when like Netflix, and I'm gonna try and be as polite and respectful as I possibly can when I say this. I'm not a creep whatsoever, but when that movie, Cuties or the show, whatever it's
Mhm.
called, came out on Netflix,
One from
I
England,
heard
yeah.
about that and I refused to watch it, and I actually canceled Netflix for a long time. And I'm just curious if this has anything to do. I've never watched Cuties, by the way. I'm not interested in that kind of bullshit nonsense. Does that movie have anything like that involved?
No, there's no. It wasn't exploitative or gratuitous or anything like that with the children at all.
Okay.
There weren't any kids like put in compromise. Look, there was more graphic content in more American movies. I mean, shit. Go back to the movie with Brooke Shield when she was a little kid and what her mother put out there. That she hired a photographer to
No
shoot
idea
her.
about that.
You don't know about that,
No, I don't.
dude? You want to know? Here, this is what I'm talking about. This is why. This is why to me it seems like a misdirect. If you go and look up Brooke Shields and the art and the photographer, his name is Gary Gross, Gross. How appropriate, right? So Playboy used to have this separate magazine line, as they had many magazine divisions back then. It was called Sugar and Spice. I kid you not. This is fucking true story. Go and look it up. It's still out there. 1980, Brooke Shields, Sugar and Spice, Gary Gross. You'll see images of
Yeah, didn't
her.
her
Hmm?
tell the guy she was 18 or something like that when she was
No,
really underage?
no, she was 10 years old. Her mother ordered the photos.
Oh
She's in a
my!
bathtub, greased up in baby oil, topless, like 10-year-old Brooke Shields. Okay, so the judge ruled that it was art because it was art from the perspective of he was a photographer, her mother hired her, and this is a promo for a movie, right? It's not art. I mean, to me, it's disgusting. It's like, but the photos are still out there. They're on the internet. They're not considered child porn. They're actually categorized under the judgment of the judge that it's artwork. And her mother's the one who ordered it. And so later on in life, Brooke Shields tried suing to have these, to have it, I don't know, released or have them banned, that they couldn't be shown in public. And I don't know if I think she lost that argument even in the appeals as an adult. So, like, all I'm saying is the idea of little kids being passed around and this, that, and the other, and Hollywood exploiting them. Calvin Klein did it. I mean, look at actresses, right? You get these older actresses all the way into their 20s, like the movie Mean Girls, and they're portraying young girls in high school at what, junior age, and they're supposed to be hot, they're like effing hot, right up on stage, like in that one scene in Mean Girls, they're singing at the Christmas pageant. Like, you're not supposed to look at them because they're teens, but yet every single actress up there is 18 to 26. So what are you portraying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why is this pervasive in our society? Why do they promote OnlyFans? Why are people proud of the whole sex industry as a whole? Everybody wants to be a porn star, and yet there's no modicum of like, you know, respect for anybody or moral values or anything.
Dude,
So,
Go look who owns all these porn companies. I'm not
well,
saying
I
there's a
know exactly what you're
demographic.
saying. I'm
Yeah,
not going to
and
say
I
it out
can't
loud.
say it on our show, please, but just look into it. I'm not pointing any fingers.
We know who
Just
runs the
saying
porn
what I
industry.
found is facts.
We know that, and we know who runs Hollywood. I mean, look, it's Hollywood's always been a propaganda matrix.
and the whole "this is art" is horseshit.
Did you look it up? Did you look up the
Any
terms I gave you?
art.
Well, that's the hardest part about for me being a photographer, because I've been asked sometimes to shoot younger girls, younger women that are even like 14, 13, and it's like, like the one girl, she was what, 15, but she looked young, right? She looked like 13 to 15. She wasn't like one of these girls that are 15 and looks like she's going on 23. Okay, there's a big difference in terms of that, in terms of styling, in terms of modeling, right? In this particular instance, the girl was trying out for I was just showing somebody her picture last night, actually, this woman here in the office. She was trying out for American Idol, and she played ukulele, so she needed some cover, photos for promotional. And her mother's standing like 2 feet to my right, and that's always the case. Any girl, even if she's like 18, 19, 20, whatever, the first shoot with me, I say, look, bring a chaperone, bring whoever you want. Honestly, it relieves me of any kind of stress, especially in today's society. But like when I get done editing the photo, I'll get a lot of praise for my work. Every now and then, I'll get a woman or somebody say, "Oh, you like little girls?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, well, you're shooting a young girl, and she kind of looks adult. Well, her mother wanted it that way. You fucking c word. I'll call her like fuck that. It's like, how can I do my job? And it's like, and I would never shoot women that way. But it's hard because
Yeah.
the rules for being a photographer, even in public. There's a guy I went out to kick his ass one day in New York City. He goes around and he sits in parks like Bryant Park, especially. That's one of his favorites, and he shoots women's feet. Okay, now again, it's innocuous on the one level. You can go and shoot anybody in public. That's the problem being a photographer. There's no rules. If public is fair domain, that's why people in the paparazzi can get away with the shit that they get away with, right? But he'll sit there and he'll just set up the camera, and just stare at them while they put their feet up or something like that. And I'm thinking, okay, if that's your fetish, if that's your thing, that's fine for you as an individual. That's your right. Okay, you can go to the beach all day and look at women in thongs, especially in Miami. But when you go out there and you put it on the internet, you change the context and then you charge money for it, for video and clips and things like that. It's like you're a fucking perv. And I went and tracked this guy down, and I went to intimidate him, and it was pretty funny. It was pretty comical. Just leave it at that.
Should have recorded it.
Well, yeah, no, then it would have what, shown me assaulting the guy. I would have went to jail for defending something that there's no basis for defense because it's legal. Like the cop would have been like, hey, he has legal right to be here and film people.
All right, so this is kind of a weird conversation to even be talking about because it's a little, I don't know, but where does the fine line be drawn? Because for example, if you walk into like Walmart or a department store, and you walk into the kids aisle and you have kids with you, and you're like, oh yeah, what kind of shirt do you want? And they have all these different displays of these kids that are these kid models that are wearing all the different clothes that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the line drawn as a photographer?
Well, I mean, in terms of commercial, right? So there's always the parent that's needed. If they're under 18, anybody who's getting paid. The legal system's set up. I personally think it's not about age, right? Nobody gives a shit, really. It's all exploitative at the end of the day, right? But excuse me, I think that they make 18 the cutoff so that they can keep kids in school, so they can, one, make money on them, two, indoctrinate them, three, keep them in the system to be used as an economic tool, right? As a measure. If kids stay in school, then the path is usually to aspire to go to college or to go into industry of some sort to work.
No, I
Right?
mean the cutoff as far as what they're wearing.
Oh, you
And
mean
as
as
far as
far
what
as
you're willing to take a picture
scantily
of.
clad or bathing suits or things like that?
Yeah.
Well, there's the thing. I mean, somebody's got to catalog that stuff. Again, there's a legit market for it all, right? It's all through whose lenses you're looking through. Like I could look at a kid's catalog or a catalog of clothing, like say from Sears, right? And it's like you would skip past the kids, skip past the men, get right to the lingerie with the women on Sundays, right? And then you go have fun. I mean, we all did when we were younger, right? Or hopefully your mom or your aunt or somebody was getting not just Victoria's Secrets, but maybe Fredericks of Hollywood in the mail. That's something different, right? But it's
Right.
like but a kid wears a bathing suit. That's normal. My son, I used to bring him to the water park at 3 years old. Now everybody's in a safe environment. The kids are playing as far as, but at the same time, you could have a guy there who's perving out and looking at these kids, and he's allowed to sit on a park bench and watch. Like I can sit there and film kids in a park all day. And if a cop were to come up and say, "Hey, some of the people are uncomfortable. They just want to make sure what you're doing here," I can show them my card. I can show them my website and say I'm legitimately getting stock footage. Like, you ever see those stock footage sites? And like you have to pay for the stock footage,
Just
and you
B-roll.
might put in like, I need kids carrying, playing with balloons and slow motion, right? And then you see kids literally playing with balloons in slow motion, and I can then use that clip and say, there used to be a time when kids played outside and they were young and healthy and having fun. Now look at them. And then I show another clip of fat kids playing freaking video games. Like but that's a legit context of an ad, right?
Isn't that what they're doing now? They're
What?
trying to make fat people attractive.
Well, I'm just talking about content and I'm just talking about content and context right here, right now. And I'm saying that Brooke Shields thing, when she's standing in a bathtub and they oiled her up with baby oil, is different than a regular kid in a bathtub with their top off, because that's appropriate, right? Being naked in a bathtub is appropriate for anybody, right? Man, woman, child, whatever. That's what you do in a bath. You take a bath. In the Brooke Shields case, when you look at that, it was sensationalized. It was in Sugar and Spice magazine. It was a division of Playboy. That Little Baby movie was out with her as a prostitute. There was a whole bunch of things that, like, holy shit. This is like right around the time, like right before Calvin Klein and others were on the scene. Look, Drew Barrymore was hanging out at that time at like Studio 54 with her mother, who had no oversight or care.
Yeah, she was coke at what, like 11 years old?
Younger than that.
That's
I
just-
have stories from what's his name, from Felipe Rose, the Village People. He was telling me who's who on everybody. I mean, what's her name? Grace Jones. One of her demands is that there was a gram or an ounce of coke, whatever it was. It was a huge amount of coke before any kind of like show she'd go on. It had to be in her dressing room. That was part of her deal.
No, Grace Jones was not coked up out of
Yes,
her
she
gourd
was,
every
dude.
time
I'm
she was
telling you,
like, dude,
straight from somebody.
I'm being
comes out.
very facetious. I used to watch quite a
Yeah.
bit of her live stuff.
All right, so I just had to look it up. I wasn't even familiar with who Brooke
Context
Shields.
of, when in Rome kind of thing. That's what was going on, and it was pervasive back then. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that's what it was. But at the same time, kids have always
Well, yeah,
been
not
exploited.
long after that. What was the movie with her and the dude on the island, Blue Lagoon, and they were the kids, innocent in paradise.
Oh, there's
and
another
they
one. Yeah,
found
Blue Lagoon.
themselves. Yeah,
Same
yeah,
thing.
same
So, I mean, she was
idea. And
exploited.
wasn't
And
there
again, her
still
mother
something else in a?
her mother had a hand in all of it, though. That's the problem.
Of
That's the
course,
sick
her mother
part.
did. Right.
They always talk about the men that are pervs, like the men that are pedophiles, and meanwhile, there's all these women that are involved and look the other way. It's like the woman, like the mother that looks the other way because she knows her husband or her brother or somebody's fucking the little kids, and yet her excuse is like, "Well, where was I going to go, or what was I going to do?" And we have a good life otherwise. It's like, really? Are you kidding me? So you're a co-conspirator and a co-abuser.
Well, I'm going to just be the first one to say this went pretty dark pretty quick, and it's about to be on the break, even though it's not my stream, because I don't know, this is getting a little weird.
Well, it's uncomfortable for a reason, right? Because it needs to be dealt
Well,
with.
it's a topic that needs to be approached. and
Yeah,
talked about.
I have a couple family members that were, sexually assaulted and things like that. So it's
I'm
not,
sorry about that.
Definitely sorry to hear that, man.
well, the people
Buy this
that
car,
did it
you'll get girls.
are in
It's
prison.
Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies. But the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always been taught that self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do?
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great. Thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. Extend your life with Extendivite.
We exist in the security and comfort of our worlds. Paved paths, lights, and manicured lawns give us peace of mind that our world has been tamed, and we are its master. But other worlds exist on the edge of our sight. On the edge of our awareness, the shadows move. The woods fill with the unblinking eyes of the nightmares our ancestors warned us about. Some of us have stumbled into these forgotten realms, whether on purpose or completely by surprise. I'm Brent Thomas. Join us on the Paranormal Portal Friday and Saturday nights from 10 p.m. to midnight Pacific Standard Time as we journey into the world of the paranormal phenomena. Into the paranormal. If you
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, it's TFR. Frequency radio.
I'm starting off fresh and I feel good. I look good. I smells good. I am good.
And welcome back. Fourth and final segment of the Ironworx, right here on Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com, truthfrequencyradio.com.
Hey, you know what's crazy?
I mean,
You hear me?
I mean,
Besides the last topic of the last segment, my what is this called? Telegram opened up on its own. I didn't even click on it because it's not even near my icon, near my mouse. And all this stuff came up. It's this Telegram called Follow the White Rabbit, right? It's all those kind of conspiracies and shit like that. And this particular segment, this particular panel of JPEGs and videos and stuff like that is all about pedophilia. Like the clips, the one that somebody compiled with Biden when he was on C-SPAN, and then like questions like it says here's one that says Epstein arrest count, all zeros, right? Nobody's been arrested. The thing from Ukraine, supposedly with the labs that Russia discovered with harvesting children's organs. I mean, it goes on and on. Ghislaine Maxwell's best customers are still running this shit show. There's a picture of a girl here holding a sign. Do you know about Ghislaine Maxwell, right? And how her two sisters were also Mossad agents? That they wrote the software for the CIA and NSA.
Oh yeah, their family's way in. Their family's known for doing this. This is what they do.
Their father was like the head of the Mossad, and they were writing software that we use in our defense departments. They like no backdoors built in. Come on.
First person, well, in recent history at least, to be charged with human trafficking to nobody.
Right. Right.
How does that work?
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to sound cynical, but I've seen stuff from Ted Gunderson to Kathy O'Brien to all these people that came out and told their story. And now you have this thing with Sound of Freedom. And yeah, I went and I supported it. I even bought a ticket for other people to go see it because there's this thing at the end with a QR code where you can buy a ticket for somebody else. But
okay, I got a question for people here. Just because we saw it on TV and the internet, does it actually make it true, or is that some sort of a psyop? Just sort of like the Marina Abramovich or whatever the fuck that is.
Oh, her, yeah.
I mean, that's also. I'm not trying to go back into the previous conversation at all, but that's pretty sadistic and twisted when you think about it. Is it just meant to steer us away from what's really going on, or is there actual truth to it?
I believe people do this stuff. I don't think it's a psyop. I think this stuff actually goes on, and they do it, and they're not just putting it out there to put it out there. They're proud of it.
Well, it's a multi-pronged thing. Their duper's delight, the pride of they got away with it. Also, their irrational thought that it's some kind of karmic retribution, not retribution, karmic justification. Well, we told you what we were doing. And also, part of the magic is in the revelation of enough to keep people entranced about it all. I mean, we're sitting here talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Revelation of the method, right? That's what you're saying?
It's
have
all part of
policy.
it. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's all part of it. Yeah, it's multi-layered, or at least from all the shit I've read and looked into.
Let me change the subject then. Have you guys heard about the stuff going on in BRICS lately? The whole new currency that people want to start trading in from one country to another. They want to ditch the dollar and go to this new currency.
You said BRICS?
Yeah.
BRIX?
No,
And-
BRICS. It's
Yeah. Brazil, Russia, India, China.
correct.
Oh, how yeah, they want to just convert everything over to a world
Well,
currency.
gold standard, back on the gold standard too, right?
Ooh, yeah, I've heard about that, but I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, this August. So 19 countries have officially formally applied to join the alliance, and 6 they're probably going to allow this August. And it's interesting, the 6 that they picked, considering a lot of this has to do with trading oil from one country to another, what type of currency you have to use. So the 6 that they want to allow are Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Argentina, Egypt, and Indonesia. All countries that produce oil.
They
Argentina.
listed Bahrain. I've been there 5 times. That country is small. It's the size of a city.
Yeah, and they sell millions of barrels of oil to the U.S. and Europe every day. Not every year, every day.
That's fucking weird. Oh, and by the way, someone in the chat was saying that gold back price. Right now, I'm looking at it right now, goldprice.org. The price is $1,956 per ounce. It's going up.
Yeah, I mean, this right here, just these 6 countries would take the GDP and their purchasing power, right? The U.S. has 25.5 trillion GDP, their spending power. This would put them at 32.66 trillion. So
You said 25 trillion?
Yeah, the U.S. has 25.5 trillion GDP.
Wow.
Yeah. And this would put them at 32.66, those 12 countries.
Well, that's when the military comes in, like with the Marines and the Navy and shit, and they just like bomb the fuck out of them and take their gold.
Yeah, but this is China, Russia, this isn't Iraq.
This is not Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I've been to war and I've seen what happens. We all work together when we want to take someone's money.
Well, yeah, but you've seen it against third world countries. Now let's go to someplace like Iran. If they really could do it, they would. But a first world country with a very powerful military itself, the U.S. has never really taken on anyone like that.
Well, they took out Gaddafi. I mean, Gaddafi was investing in the infrastructure of Africa, not just with putting people on the gold standard, but the whole water pipeline that would have given Africa the lead dominance in growing food around the world, and all non-GMO. I mean,
Oh, dude, I shed a tear when I saw that video. What happened to him?
Yeah, that was more like a coup, though. That was us hiring a bunch of mercenaries from other countries. That wasn't like a U.S. military.
well, it wasn't we; it was Clinton.
Yeah, but it wasn't a U.S. military, sanctioned operation. Blah blah blah. It was all black book.
Well, there's a lot of people that didn't want him to have control, but that's a fact. Though here, you try to be like somebody good and benevolent and all this other shit, and you get labeled a dictator. And
didn't Gaddafi get like dragged out into the street and have something incredibly sexually done to him as he was killed?
I'm sure.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, I'm not trying to be specific about it, but that's what I've heard.
Video was nasty, but no. When you go listen to that guy speak at the United Nations,
yeah, that was amazing. I know what speech you're talking about.
Decades. Yeah, it wasn't just one speech, man. That guy was dropping truth bombs a lot, and they didn't like that. They didn't want somebody like him in power, and his people loved him. We're told over here that he was considered a dictator and an evil ruler, and he could go down the street with his head poked out of a limo, and the people would just scream his name and chant his name, and they loved him.
Little girls would run up and bring him flowers. Oh, never mind. That was somebody.
Oh no, damn. Well,
He liked
I know what
dogs
you're
too,
talking
and he was a
about.
vegetarian. I mean, what's so wrong with that?
Leave it to Walt to kill it. Kill the buzz.
Oh, there's Travis.
Buzz kill Walt.
What's up? The Ubercast man himself.
Hello. What ho, gentlemen.
Going
And
out.
I use that term specifically.
Hey, were you listening to the last segment?
Yeah.
Was it too graphic?
No.
Okay.
You mean like the last thing that Walt said, or what?
When we were on last segment.
No, previous.
Oh no. You guys were on par. Yeah, I remember that because I was a kid. I was like 10 years old when 82 when the Blue Lagoon came out. And
Yeah, right. You and I are right on par for the same era of going like, what the fuck?
I didn't know that about the Playboy thing. That's
Did you look it up?
Yeah.
No. I was making my coffee and getting ready to get out here to start my day. So.
I pointed it out in forums that were talking about this kind of topic, and like they're like, "You're disgusting." It's like, why am I fucking disgusting? Well, how do you know this? Because I'm smarter than all of you. Let's just start there, but you don't know that yet. Second, I'm a photographer, and I'm concerned with the laws concerning photography and things like that. Like, and it goes on and on and on. You know what's funny? If you dare to discuss something, there's some people that think that you somehow condone it, right? That you participate in it. And I'm like, you ever seen a psychologist or psychiatrist? They got somebody on their fucking bench, on their couch or in their chair, and they're listening to the person, and they understand the psychosis, or they understand what's producing this event in this person's life, right? Whether it was abuse or anything else. It doesn't mean they condone it because they sit there and understand it. That's the part that people don't get. Like, I think that's why a lot of people in society turn the other way, because they think somehow if they can justify it and understand the abuser, and so why not justify, but like understand the justifications of that person's actions per se, right? Why they're doing it. You see what I'm saying? And it's like somehow they think that by understanding that you're somehow siding with it or culpable to it. No.
Okay, Jonathan, hold on a second. Just one moment here. I have an aunt who has a PhD in psychology, and she worked at San Quentin prison for like 22 years or something.
Right.
And she will not tell me any specifics about that. She doesn't work there anymore. She couldn't deal with it anymore, but she will not talk to anybody about anything specific about that. And she had to deal with, the worst people that were on like death row and, that kind of stuff. But she will not tell you anything specific about it. She has PTSD herself, even though she's trying to treat people with PTSD. There's something weird that happens with the mind when you're talking to people like that. And I don't want to deal with it anymore.
It's empathy. And I'm sure that's why she doesn't talk to anybody about it, because it took a whole lot for her to be able to probably work through it. And it's one thing when you're working through it emotionally, sort of on a case by case basis as it comes to you. But then to try to regurgitate all of this shorthand all at once, multiple stories to somebody, A, you're not going to really convey what's going on. And B, if you could, there'd be no way for anybody to really process all that shit at once. I'm sure it would cause PTSD.
Well, let me say this in regards to your aunt. Did I ever tell you about how my cousin, like my aunt was a bleeding heart liberal, right? And her daughter went on to be what do you call it, a social worker, right? She was very passionate about social work. She gets her first job down in Baltimore, which is again one of those areas, Atlanta, Georgia, right? You have Atlanta, Chicago, Newark, any of those areas, you're going to have a lot of programs where there's social workers. So she said when she was there, her first year, she met a lot of kids in their teens, and they would talk, and they would be the kind of kids that would be out on the streets. And they used to hang out, and I think I told you guys this before. They used to wear colored handkerchiefs in their back pocket based on what they would do sexually. They would broadcast that there were child prostitutes. The sick part is, she said these kids would talk about the limos that would come in from DC with political plates on, and the kids would get in their car, disappear for a day or two, come back and have like $2,000 in hand. But these are all sick fucks from Washington, D.C. that were coming into Baltimore to pick up these kids. She said at that point, she realized the system was broken, that it was all inside protected people, and she was done with doing that job. She quit. She switched industries. She thought she could make a difference in the world and only find out that the whole thing is a stacked deck. Her eyes were, opened up from the illusion. So like your aunt,
I
I
know.
sympathize. I feel bad for
And you know, there's some trepidation, there's some like feathers ruffled, but these are topics that unfortunately are in our world and have to be looked at, faced, dealt with, processed. I'm not sure. I had a very it was quite a dichotomy in my family growing up. My parents divorced when I was like, well, they had already been apart a while, but you know, when I was around 6 or 7, and they divorced when I was 8. And I spent more time with my mom than my dad. My mom, who would like literally go to the library when I was 8 or 9 years old to tell them, yeah, let my son check out Jaws or whatever the hell he wants to read. Everything, you know, if you have a problem, call me. To my dad, who's like looking at comic books and seeing demons and wanting me not to see, oh man, what was the show? Oh, Soap, because there was a gay character on there. Why? Is that going to turn me gay? Is that going to let me know there's gay people in the world so that when I find out that in the real world, I might be able to process it better than be shocked by it? Or I don't know. I've always been this person who would rather someone not overprotect children, because then when they're, you know, faced with real things, what the fuck are they going to do? You know, they have no background to deal with it. So I watch, unfortunately, really close family members overprotect their kids who then grow up to be idiots, you know, truly idiots. And I'm probably, you know, personal, you know, opinion about this because I've seen it too many times. I'm sure you guys have different ones.
Well, yeah, I mean, overprotection, I mean, letting your children see things and read certain things, that's one thing. I mean, I'm all for allowing that. Like you said, the children, they have to see it eventually. So I mean, I don't want children seeing hardcore porn or anything like that, but a gay
No, that's not what I'm talking about at
yeah,
all.
exactly. I know. That's what I'm saying. A gay person in the
PG, parental guidance is a
Yes.
real thing. It should be, instead of just open like, oh yeah, here, you're loose, do what you want to, you know, rather
Okay, so what is
like,
what
you
is
let
the
me know.
age for PG though? Because PG-13 obviously is PG. So what is? I'm sorry, is 13 years old.
How about just
What's PG?
parenting? That's what I'm referring to. It's not even a thing hardly anymore.
Well, that's just it.
If it
What is the
was, we
G?
wouldn't have the.
What does G mean? I mean, if it's rated PG, they're suggesting parental guidance. Okay, so what does that look like? That means the parent has to actually interact with the child about what's going on the screen and guide them through the fact
And
that none of this
answer
shit
the
is real.
questions that
Right.
come up. Right, exactly. What my
Okay,
mom
okay.
did.
So PG-13
Unlike my
means that if
dad, who
someone
just
can
shut
prove they're
off
13,
everything,
they
and
can
you
go to
don't
the
need to
movie,
see that.
Well,
right?
I guess. I mean, according to that, yeah, because they're technically old enough to not need that parental guidance. They should be somewhat mature enough to realize the shit that they see on the screen isn't real.
I mean, I've been on Netflix like once in like the last couple months. Are there ratings on Netflix videos and stuff?
Yes.
Are there? Okay.
There have been television ratings for decades.
Yeah, they have.
I never pay attention to it.
Yeah, well,
anymore,
and most
because-
people don't. And if you look
Yeah.
at the reasons now, they'll list out all the reasons why they're giving this
Right.
episode the
Right.
particular rating.
Hell, violence, language,
Smoking.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that, but I've never noticed the ratings because I've been watching it since I was 4.
Peril.
Go down in the corner.
And I apologize if anybody got offended. I apologize if it was too stronger content, but
Not at all. You don't have to. And that's kind of where I was going with this whole idea of these things.
Well, someone
have
brought up
to be
Playboy
talked
Mansion
to
or
and
something
dealt
like
with.
that. That was a good topic.
Well,
I
no,
don't like talking about
I
that.
was saying about the whole protection.
yeah, underground tunnels.
You know, I heard this guy talking about his 7-year-old went to see a new pediatrician first time, 7 years old, and the dad said the doctor's lucky I wasn't there because I don't know if I could have contained myself. The first thing he asked this child, so are you a boy, a girl, a binary, or a non-binary, or blah blah blah. 7 years old. I'm totally for not letting your child ever see that doctor again. You know, I don't think that would be overprotection. I don't want some quack nut job even talking to my child like that. At 7 years old, asking them their gender. A sexual preference. I mean, let's say what it is. It's all about sex. All this stuff is about your sexual blah 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 whatever. At 7 years old, you don't have that. Nobody does. Unless you've already been groomed to think that way. Asking children that. A doctor asking a child this, 7 years old. That's insane to me. I would have.
It's child abuse. It's creating a child from a young age and molding their brain into being some sort of a sexual slave.
Well, it's called grooming, right? It's a slippery
Yeah,
slope. It's
there you go,
just
grooming. Perfect.
like it's a gateway of one thing to the next. It's the same reason why I won't shoot like mild fetish, like foot fetish or anything, even though that's pervasive and it's everywhere now, right? There's girls on OnlyFans and Instagram and all that. But it's like, okay, you start there and where do you stop? Like it'll lead into, could it lead into full porn? Absolutely. Just a matter of what steps you take to get there. No pun intended.
But yeah, they're having doctors. I don't know if that's just that doctor but yeah, if
no, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
That a doctor has to.
Unfortunately, up to at least the beginning of what we were doing here as Iron Realm Media, there were things that I knew about in a very personal family way, where a person was going through this at a very young age because of who they had been exposed to. There's no doubt that that's what it was about, because friends of theirs were being allowed to do these things and encouraged by the mother of that family member, of that friend who was all about it, this whole it was basically like almost like a virtue signaling thing. Oh, my child is them, they, those, and she wanted that. You could tell.
Oh, you're talking about like Charlize Theron, who like adopted children and made.
Oh yeah, and immediately put them in dresses, right?
Right, exactly. And it was just endlessly. And then so when it came time to actually seek help, they sought help for someone who would understand the problem. I'm like, why don't you get some help to solve the problem, not understand the problem?
But by the way,
the problem.
Speaking of problems, the Sound of Freedom, and you brought it up. Remember, this thing was shelved for how many years? If this is such a big deal, right? And it's such an urgent message, as they like to say. Oh, it's urgent. Children need your help now. Well, what the fuck happened when you made the movie 4 years ago? They didn't need the help then? You just shelved it for 4 years, something that's so pressing?
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Corey Feldman been putting off his movie because nobody will give him $10 million to make it. If your movie needs to be heard by everybody and it's so important, then just say it and show it.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's like when they make these things seem like it's a big controversial. The timing of this is so friggin' relevant now because of Ukraine, Biden, Hunter Biden, and everything else. It's a big ass distraction, and like I said, the Mormons are behind it. Therefore, the Freemasons are behind it. Therefore, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, there's those communes that the
Mormons
have created
France,
all
which
throughout,
was
like
already
Texas and
under a huge amount of change and things going on in the streets before.
Why do you think they went after France? The same reason they went after Germany. Let's be honest here. Go ahead. What were you saying? Who was talking?
Well,
I was trying to get it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Andrew. Go after I got finished. No, I'm done now. I just wanted to get that out because I'm very wanting that to be known. That seems to me to be the biggest thing that is nowhere.
Yeah, this is a very touchy subject for a lot of different people.
End of the show here.
Yeah.
So, I love y'all. We got about a minute or two left. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining in. As always, I always love our early light conversations.
That's my fault. Sorry.
No, they get me going and wake me up. Yeah, I'm ready to roll now. I love a good rant in the morning that gets my blood rolling.
If you want me to keep it light from now on, just give me like a signal. I'll just keep it like talk about the weather and Wimbledon and shit.
Like what kind of lettuce you most and
I'm ready
that thing.
now.
But Jonathan, I do respect you because I actually have a question for you about cameras and stuff. So,
Oh yeah. We want to ask me after the show, or
Yeah.
well, I mean, we don't have time right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna end in like what, 2 minutes or something?
Probably.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us and putting up with our internet issue that we had there.
I'm pretty sure it was a restream issue, near as I can tell.
They just don't like us, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that was restreamed because Skype never went down.
And I had other web pages that were working. The only thing that went unresponsive was Restream website. So
wild. So do we have anybody for the show tonight? I forget.
Don't believe so. I do not think we do.
Yeah, my reach out this week has yet to be answered. I'm going to guess here at this last hour it won't be the saving grace we're hoping for, but if it does happen, it'll be a pleasant surprise. But yeah, I've been on this since like probably last Saturday or Sunday, emailing about a topic that has been here before, and it would be a return. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to make it be a surprise.
Y'all have a great
Love you guys. Thank y'all.
Yeah, much love, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for your patience, and thanks for chasing us back down to this particular stream. But we will see you back here Tuesday. My computer's back here sitting. I just need to hook it back up and get it all going again. And things should be good. Till then, you guys be good. Be well. We love you. Bye-bye.